It's no secret that the sport of wheelchair rugby has been largely male-driven. But that being said, Sarah Adams has attracted a lot of attention, becoming one of 2 women to make it to the US national training squad, with a legitimate shot at making the 2024 Paralympic team to Paris. Welcome, Sarah.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Hey, Sarah, the very first thing that comes to mind as I, dwell on the sport of rugby and as rough and tough and hard hitting as it is, what is it that's attracted you to a sport with so many violent collisions and tough hard hits?
I get that one a lot, especially with it being kind of a male-dominated sport. But I love the high speed. I love the crashes. But for me, it's always been team sports. Played team sports growing up. I love just the intricacy of it. There's a lot of strategy behind, it's fun for people who are kind of novice to watch it because we're all going high speed and crashing into each other. And even for somebody that doesn't know or hasn't seen it before, it's really exciting to watch. But it's really when you get into how to utilize your different players and the different strategies that are involved. It always reminded me, I grew up playing softball, and the chess match, when you really know the sport intimately, has been really fun. And that's what I get out of rugby now.
Speaking of chess matches, there's a point accumulation for a team that's on the floor at any one time, and you're a 3.0. So discuss a little bit about, what your role is on the floor as a 3.0, the only more functional player, that being a 3.5.
Yeah, so it's changed a little bit the way that we describe the classification, especially for our female. So I'm actually a 3.5. And it used to be you would do a 0.5 deduction for the females. But now the team gets a 0.5 addition when I'm on the floor. So I will always be a 3.5. And when I'm on the floor, our team can put out 8.5 points. So that changed after the Tokyo Games. But it certainly, I'm somebody who has a little bit more function in my hands and in my arms. So I'm the primary ball carrier when I'm out there, which feels like a lot of responsibility. But honestly, I have some really good low pointers and other people out there on the court that are the ones that are directing kind of the orchestra out there and telling me where to go. So I just have to listen to them and follow their lead. So in some ways, it's a little bit easier that way. But I'm definitely taking the hits. The people are trying to crash down on me because I'm the one with the ball. So.
I found it really interesting as I've learned more and more about the sport of rugby that, some of the lower level or lower value players on the floor, I remember talking to Joe Jackson, who plays for Arizona and played on the Paralympic team just recently, that those guys are like field generals out there. They're sort of like your point guard, they're feeding the ball and getting it to people like you so that you can score.
Yeah, they have to be the intelligent vocal ones. They're certainly directing the gameplay. I can't just speed pass without them. I need to follow him up the court. So actually, it's funny that you mentioned Joe Jay because I'm out there a lot with him and my other teammate, Lee Fredette. And Joe has just been an invaluable resource for me. One of the smartest rugby players that I've met so far, just willing to share his insights and share the game. So he's been quite the mentor to me as by far the newest member on the team.
What are the characteristics that make a really intelligent rugby player?
Thinking 3 steps ahead. I mean, this is a chess match. So seeing the matchups ahead of time or the mismatches that we're looking for on the court, being really vocal out there, knowing just the different moves. So I kind of know the different deck of cards of moves that I can make, but I'm still kind of learning when do I pull out which cards. So I think those just incredibly intelligent rugby players see it 3 moves ahead of time.
So, Sarah, you're playing on a squad in Pittsburgh, and lo and behold, 2 of the absolute legends of the game, Joe Delagrave and Chuck Aoki, notice that you've got some pretty good moves on the floor, and they've influenced you down to playing on the team of 16 right now, which will be cut to 12. We'll address that later. But what is it, do you think, that those 2 guys who have been on Paralympic squads, risen to the highest level, played the game at the highest level, what is it that they saw in you?
Honestly, I think I've just had that athletic mindset. I've always been competitive. My whole family's been competitive. I came into tryouts, the only thing that I had control of was making sure that I was in really good shape and ready just to absorb new information and learn and put it into practice right away. And that was what I wanted to show. And I think, especially for Joe Delagrave, our head coach, he saw that I was just this sponge, just willing to absorb everything and put it all out on the court. And that's what I continue to do. I'm new, so there are going to be things that I mess up or mistakes that I make. But I'm really determined not to be making the same mistake twice, and go out there and just play hard. So that's what, and honestly, I've been surrounded by a lot of Paralympic athletes coming out of St. Louis. Sue Tucker, who is the old assistant coach for Team USA, is our head coach for St. Louis. So coming up, learning from her. We have several people in St. Louis that have been on the squad. Chuck Melton, Eric Newby, Jake Daly, a couple of folks that have been on the squad previously. So learning from them helped me know what I needed to do to compete at this level. And then honestly, probably my biggest mentor is Carrie Morgan, who was the first female to make the training squad several years back. And learning from her and hearing from her of what it takes to compete, not just at that level, but also kind of as a female in the sport. She's been by far and away my biggest mentor. So I was set up from the beginning to have not an easy pathway by any means, but lots of people that helped me get here.
So even though the path has been somewhat carved for you, this is still a situation where you're somewhat of a pioneer. I mean, you're coming into this game. What I know so far is that 5 women have made Paralympic squads, 3 from Great Britain, 2 from other countries. But the U.S. has never had a woman on the Paralympic squad. So now here you are, you've made it to 16, and the ultimate goal is to get down to 12. This is, not to make it a woman versus man thing, but this is a pretty impressive thing. I mean, and for all intents and purposes, you are a pioneer getting this far.
Yeah, Liz and I are incredibly excited for the opportunity. Our goal is both of us going to Paris, and I think we might be the first team with 2 females. Don't quote me on that quite yet. But it's great to have that opportunity, especially it being a male-dominated sport. And I think there's been a movement, even in the able-bodied world, of seeing females that are joining their high school and college football teams and breaking down those barriers and saying, if this is a sport that I want to play and that I have fun with, that's what I want to do. For me, what's been interesting, I think a lot of the females that are currently playing wheelchair rugby at the international level are more low pointers or in low point chairs. So being that high point ball carrier, the guys coming in to try to knock me over in my chair, it's a little intimidating, but it's also fun to show that we can take on every role on that court, and we will.
Oh, no doubt. And just to clarify, when you were talking about Liz, you're referring to Liz Dunn, who has already made it to the team of 16 in the past, but she did not make it to the team of 12. So you're both representing now on the team of 16, correct?
Yeah, and so we're roommates. We really support each other. We bonded right away. We met back in all-female camp in Houston that they do every year in the summertime, try to get more females involved with the sport. It's an incredible opportunity to support each other as women with disabilities that are going through similar circumstances. Made a lot of friends through that, and Liz was one of them. So couldn't be more excited to be on the team with her and continue learning from her as well.
I just want to get this one paraphrase quote out of the way. Going back to hitting, you basically were stated as saying the sport of rugby is a male-dominated sport, but I like the full contact. So what is it that you enjoy about getting out there and mixing it up?
I think it was funny the first time that I was playing, and I had kind of an interesting introduction to rugby because I started as an able-bodied volunteer in OT school, and then I got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and became a player later on. So by the time that I went to my first tournament, I had been around rugby for a little while, so I had some of the skills that maybe a novice player doesn't have. And I remember being the dark horse where nobody even was near me on the court for probably the first 5 plays. And then all of a sudden it hit everybody like, find the girl, where's the girl? And there's this switch where everybody started panicking and realizing we got to respect this female player on the court. And honestly, every time it still happens where people are like, find the girl, where's the girl? I think now people know me as Sarah because my name's out there a little bit more, but that lights a fire underneath me when they find the girl, where's, they certainly don't hold back anymore. I think they used to, but even my teammates are coming in and crashing hard, and I don't know. It's just a lot of fun. Where you're treated as an equal. It's not necessarily people thinking, oh, this is a female, we need to be careful around there. The same way that for people with disabilities, that's what I love showing through rugby is like, we're not fragile. We can go out there and compete and hit each other, or in the everyday life. Like if I fall out of my chair, my friends are going to laugh at me a little bit because it's just kind of life.
Exactly. Well, you've made it to the team of 16. There are 2 big qualifiers down. You've got one coming up, 4 Nations in Birmingham, and then the World Championships coming up fall in Denmark, and then it'll be cut to 12. So you've got a lot of work cut out for you.
Yeah, we're actually headed to Medellin, Colombia on this Sunday. That'll be my first international competition. So really excited to be on the travel team for that. And get that first exposure. And then, 4 Nations in Birmingham, we're kind of in our home court, will be very fun. Hopefully, get a big crowd out for that as COVID allows. And then the ultimate goal for this year and what everybody's sights are on is Denmark. So that everything up to that is just opportunities for us to bond as new team members and get some new things in play and work out I don't know, some of that team chemistry. So looking forward to that.
Well, Sarah, you've really done a really great job of being a pioneer, and you're definitely influencing the sport forward. Getting women out on the floor, and I feel pretty strong that you've got a legitimate shot here going into the Paralympic Games in 2024 in Paris. Sarah, good luck, and it's been really great meeting you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.